Hello everyone, welcome back to Touch the Fire Twice. I'm Joshua, and I'm here today to do a haul and first impressions overview of 5 new fragrances from Emme NYC candle brand, formerly known as Emme Essentials. They are an Asian American Pacific Islander owned small business where they focus on Asian flavor and scent inspired home fragrance products across wax, reed diffusers, wax melts, and in various forms. But before we get into this, if you're new to Touch the Fire Twice, welcome. My mission here is to share my love and passion for fine home fragrance as an enthusiast, an educator, a reviewer, to inspire you to increase your own fragrance knowledge and understanding, ultimately enhancing the scent memories that you create. If you want to learn more about what I do, why I do it, how I do it, you can check out my website at TouchTheFireTwice.com. Also follow me on Instagram, as well as my recently launched TikTok. Now, digging into Emme NYC. If you're not familiar with the brand, I recommend check out their website, of course, but also check out this brand introduction and haul overview from last year where I purchased 10 of their classic fragrances in their traditional 4-ounce tins like you see here. And I went pretty in-depth. It was first impressions, but really went kind of in-depth on the overall scents and some performance with the candles. And I must say, over the past, 6-8 months, I have really enjoyed 7 out of 10 of those. There's 2 or 3 that I just haven't even burned because they're not my favorite, not really in my wheelhouse. But of the 7, I would say borderline love at least 6 or 7 of those 10 fragrances, which is quite a good percentage of any online blind purchase when it comes to fine home fragrance. And there's very unique perspectives that they bring as Asian Americans who are going after these scent memories, right? The whole reason why we are into home fragrance, I think, is that connection to memory, mood, a moment, memory, space, place, or time. And Emme NYC really taps into those Asian flavors and scents and memories and put them into home fragrance form in ways that are so unique that you just don't see in other brands. And I'm so impressed because many times small business home fragrance gets kind of, off the shelf oils from third parties and just kind of do straightforward, and you can get kind of the exact same scent from different brands, which nothing wrong with that because, not everyone can work with master perfumers and have a huge in-house production. However, within Emme Essentials, unclear exactly their full back end. They don't talk about necessarily their master perfumers they do or don't work with, or if they do off the shelf, frankly, I don't know. But I will say, so many of the fragrances are so unique and so authentic to what they are that it's very clear that they're not just taking something off the shelf and putting a name on it that is Asian inspired. It really smells like the actual product that they are saying it is inspired by. So I have been very impressed with the actual quality of these scents and the notes themselves. They went through a recent rebranding from Emme Essentials to Emme NYC, in which they moved beyond their traditional 4-ounce metal tin here to a bit of a more luxe matte black with an imprinted logo here, also still 4-ounce tin. They also did a bit of an upgrade to their full-size candles, their single wicks, from a traditional glass jar to a black glass jar. Just again, a little bit of a luxe upgrade to the brand product offering. And they launched their spring 2023 collection, and there were a couple of scents in there that I was just so intrigued by that I had to purchase, and 2 fragrances from my initial haul of 10 scents that are absolute my favorites from that haul. Although honestly, I could have done 4 or 5, but trying to pace myself here. 2 that I purchased that are repurchases that I got in the full size. Talking of their product forms, and then we'll get into these candle scents. They do a 4-ounce tin. They use soy wax, and all of their candles are wood wick. I know some people kind of turn their nose up to wood wick. They don't like them. I'm not entirely sure why, if it's a performance thing or just they don't like the sound or the soot or what have you from these. I've had no issue with performance here across the board, strength, throw, projection, burn quality. So I don't mind the wood wicks in this case. I suppose if they were off center, it would create a bigger issue than a wick that could be off center that you can kind of use a wick dipper or just a pick or something to move it over. But these have all been perfectly centered again because they are hand poured in micro batches in NYC. And their soy wax 4-ounce tins retail for $16, and then their soy wax 8.5-ounce glass vessels, full-size candles, retail for $35. So let's get into the fragrances. I will right off the jump say I purchased Saffron, Jasmine Tea, Banana Milk, Matcha, and Boba. So let's talk first about Saffron because this is sort of the one outlier here. This is their older product version, and so this was from their fall 2022 collection. Didn't purchase it at the time, but I was intrigued by Saffron, and it happened to be on sale when I made this purchase, so why not? Saffron has notes of saffron, tobacco, and white tea, and the mood is woody and opulent. So getting my nose on Saffron here, it's very nice. It is sort of, I would say, it leans toward a, let's say, body fragrance or a perfume, a cologne, because it is opulent. It is almost musky, a bit woody, but musky. Now, saffron is, of course, I think many folks know, it's from those little flowers, and it adds a really unique scent and flavor to foods. The scent in fine fragrance can be a bit rubbery, a bit hay-like, quite honestly very hard to describe. One of my all-time favorite colognes, Santal Carmine by Atelier Cologne, has a heavy hit of saffron in it, and I love that, and I love it here as well. There certainly is a nice dose of saffron in here. The white tea I don't necessarily get directly, but I suppose there could be a bit of that sort of lightly tannic freshness in it. And then tobacco leaf, I do get, I'm not sure if it's tobacco leaf or tobacco flower, because there's a bit of a powderiness to this. Could be from the wood versus the tobacco, but the tobacco gives it that sort of almost leathery, kind of golden, almost a little bit of this kind of feeling, intensity to it, but not choke you out. And I want to say some sort of wood, whether it's like a deeply resinous, almost like kind of an oud, or there's a sweetness, so could maybe be like a creamy sandalwood with a little bit of musk thrown in. Not overly heavy, very intentional, I would say intense notes, but blended in a really masterful way that you get them, but they don't overwhelm and they don't seem cheap. The kind of difference between like a cheap perfume and a very high-end perfume, the balance of oils, in this case to the wax ratio, are just really well done, where it's intense, as they say, opulent and intriguing. No, I'll call it intriguing. Opulent and woody. Really nicely done. Doesn't scream Asian inspired the way that some of their fragrances do for me. However, of course, saffron is used in many Asian cuisines, so certainly checks out. Then we'll move on to, let's actually go to two of their new scents. So in their spring collection, I purchased Banana Milk and Jasmine Tea, but also available are Green Grape, with notes of green grapes, green apple, and fruit gummies. Peony Suede, which does sound intriguing, with notes of peony, suede, and apple blush. Pandan, with notes of pandan, coconut, and palm leaf. And finally, Calamansi Guava, with notes of calamansi, guava, and passion fruit. A few of those are returning scents from last year's spring collection, and a few are new. Certainly I know the Banana Milk and Green Grapes are new. I think the Jasmine Tea may be new as well. I want to get my nose on these because I was most excited about these, along with the two repurchase favorites for me. So first up, Banana Milk. Now, my only critique on the new product form is that they no longer list the notes on here. There aren't a lot of notes, but I really do enjoy that as a fragrance nerd. And the notes on Banana Milk are fresh milk and banana. So I suppose that's pretty straightforward. I have not burned this one yet. You can see a full 4 ounces right up to the rim there with the wood wick. And it smells exactly what you would expect it to smell like. I will say it leans more towards your candied banana, like think your Runts or your Laffy Taffy kind of banana, but not as sugary sweet and not quite as kind of that plasticky center of your nose artificiality that comes with those banana fragrances or sometimes other banana fragrances across wax and home fragrance forms. But it doesn't really lean toward a true authentic banana unless it's an extremely ripe banana. I could see that being a very ripe, sugary, almost right on the edge of being, kind of getting like gooey and fermented banana that you've got to turn them into banana bread or some treat, some dessert, but still very refreshing. And that creaminess from the milk, it really smells like kind of banana ice cream. What it doesn't smell like in a good way is a banana popsicle that is truly just banana artificial, that's screaming yellow with just sugar to it. There is a creaminess to this that is really pretty. And again, when it comes to traditional banana milk in Asian culture, it's oftentimes going to be more your bright yellow, probably artificially flavored versus a mashed up banana that you're making a smoothie at home. It's fun, it's sweet. It is sort of an elevated, sweet candy. But I think for a lot of folks, this, like many of these fragrances are supposed to be, will be immediately nostalgic. It will transport someone to that time in their lives, maybe when they were younger and enjoyed banana milk as a snack. And in that case, it's likely spot on. Really nice. I've not burned it yet, but it smells strong and I believe it will likely perform strong as well. Then we go to Jasmine Tea. Notes on this one are jasmine, green tea, and tuberose. As you can see here, this is one that I did burn. I think 1 or 2 burns, really healthy performance there. A little tiny bit of a drag of wax there, but for the most part, pulled out evenly. And I will say for a 2.5, 3-inch diameter soy wax wood wick candle, really healthy strength, throw, and projection. This Jasmine Tea easily filled an average size office or bedroom, went out into my loft, traveled a bit throughout this level, which there are some 4-wick candles out there that have trouble getting that kind of strength, throw, and projection. And this little 4-ouncer had it Really, really impressed with that. And for something that could have been a light fragrance, tea, especially a lighter green or white tea, isn't always going to be as intense as other fragrances out there. Really, really happily impressed with wonderful performance on this. That honestly, this is almost enough. It's a travel tin, it's small, but it's not a sample. It is absolutely adequate for your average size room. If I wanted it to really throw in a larger space, an open concept great room, the 8.5 ounce with a bit wider diameter would be more appropriate, of course. Getting my nose on this, I'll tell you right now, I am so happy with this. I'm probably going to have to buy the 8.5 ounce if it's going to be a limited time collection because I don't want to be without it. I will do a full in-depth on this because I've actually been thinking about doing sort of a either tea or spa favorites video sometime in the springtime because there are so many, of course, but really even just leaning into tea. And I've even said, if you've been with me for a while, if I ever were to have my own candle collection or partnership or something, it would either be a spa collection or maybe even just tea focused because tea can go in so many directions. And jasmine tea, your traditional, think of those decorative tea balls where it is that tied up jasmine flower wrapped with your green tea or white tea leaves, and you put it in a kind of blooms, or it doesn't. But if it's the decorative kind that blooms in the teapot or cup, I will say, without getting too in-depth onto this, because I do want to do an in-depth sniffing comparison review with a couple of existing tea scents, is that this is the most authentic jasmine tea I've ever smelled. It truly, I think even nose blind, I could have probably called out that this was jasmine tea because it is the perfect blend of not just the jasmine, which jasmine can really be hot, heady, alluring, sensual, seductive, that hot white flower, and it's in there, but it is subdued by a tea that is going to bring that hit of tannins, that astringency right in the middle of it, a little bit of its own floral, and of course that little bit of tuberose in there as well. Not quite soapy, not quite powdery, just like you freshly brewed a pot of jasmine tea. Truly beautiful. If you love jasmine or you love jasmine tea or tea fragrances, not necessarily your super sugary lemon nest tea kind of teas, but an authentic Asian-inspired jasmine tea, this is absolutely the candle for you. So refreshing, so beautiful. Really, really enjoying that one. Then we move on to two of my favorites from my prior video. First up, Matcha. And I'll just do a quick little unboxing here just so you can see the branding. These boxes are really nice. They're embossed, a bit hard to see here, but embossed with the Emme logo. Tells you a bit about them, that they of course are a non-toxic, clean burning, sustainable, hand-poured in NYC candle. And then the AAPI owned, and the fact that they are inspired by Asian flavors and scents, and that it smells like memories. It's a great tagline. And here, gold foil imprint with just that little ribbon with the fragrance on it. Opening it up, your traditional unboxing, where you have the cardboard padding here, and then we open up to a really beautiful, shiny, glossy black, branded with Emme vessel. It has that clear base, so it is a painted inside, I suppose, black vessel. Really straightforward. It'll collect your fingerprints, but other than that, really just a clean, beautiful vessel poured to the rim of the 8.5 ounces of soy wax. And this matcha, oh my gosh, oh boy, I love this. It is refreshing, but it is grounding, it is calming. Notes on this one are matcha, honey, and cream. And they say the mood is earthy and luscious. Spot on. It's not overly astringent. It's not overly grassy. It is a really, really like high quality ceremonial grade matcha. Not overly sweet. The honey just takes a little bit of that bitterness or tannin away from it. Not super creamy. I almost wouldn't have called out the cream in here. It's not, your sort of Starbucks matcha green tea that has a little bit of tea and a ton of milk in it. Just a little splash of cream, if any. I love it. It's so beautiful. And I could sniff it all day long. It is calming. It really is aromatherapeutic in my mind. Have not burned the 8.5 ounce of that yet because I have a little bit left in my tin that I'm going to burn out first, and then I'll move over to this. Then we get Boba. Now, of course, Boba, the Taiwanese street treat, which are those big tapioca cassava starch balls that are cooked typically in a sugar water or honey water, maybe a flavoring, put into a million and one different things. Oftentimes like a milk tea that's a powdered milk with fresh tea or any mixture of the above. I just like a traditional, sometimes a little bit of maybe a jasmine tea, milk tea with the boba, the bubbles as they call them in there. And anyone who's familiar with boba knows that smell for that traditional boba milk tea is so incredibly specific and unlike anything I've really smelled before. There's such a specific scent to it. And this candle I actually burned through a healthy amount there, as you can see. This burned for probably longer than I should have, quite honestly, because it got a little bit sooty because the wood wick got a little long. I probably went 3+ hours on this. Again, I will do some in-depth sniff and comparison reviews on some of these, though honestly for this one, nothing to compare to. So I will give you the heads up now. Performance on this, you can see here, really got a deep, healthy pull. My bad that I let it go a little bit too long. It was sooting. I haven't had soot issues with these candles in the past, but of course any candle that you let burn longer than it should will start sooting. So you might see a little bit of that in this video, but I blew it out and there's no issues with the wax. It's not singed. There was no discoloration. No issues to speak of. Smelling this, notes are cheese foam, boba, and brown sugar. Rich, delicious. It smells just like boba bubble tea. You've got that kind of milky, creamy brown base with those bubbles, just that rich sweetness. I suppose it's actually during quarantine, I made from scratch my own boba where I got like the tapioca balls and they were hard and dry and I had to boil them for 2 or 3 hours and mix them with powdered milk and sweeteners and all that. It was a lot of work, an experiment. It was a different time with a lot of free time on my hands, but it smelled just like this. It smells just like the boba you're familiar with if you purchase your traditional boba bubble milk tea from tea houses. But the actual bubbles or tapioca themselves don't really have, I think, that much of a scent to them based other than what they're cooked in, sort of that brown sugar and things. So that cheese foam, I believe, is probably where you get some of that creaminess, that very specific, the powder mix that goes into most bubble milk teas. I have never smelled anything like this in wax, which is what is exciting about this brand for me is, again, they're not just pulling things and saying, oh, it's boba because it's like brown sugar and a little bit sweet, where it's actually used by other vendors or small businesses called something completely different. I don't think that's the case because if you smell this, you would say, wow, that smells just like bubble tea, without a doubt. So it's not it's just the marketing and it kind of connecting the dots and it's the power of suggestion, it's influencing me. No, this smells like bubble tea, straight on. And not so much in a novelty way, but in the same way that you love the scent of tea or you love the scent of coffee or baked goods. This is, to me, gourmand, but though it is directly what it smells and tastes like, because of, I suppose, the simplicity of the dairy and the sugar and potentially that little bit of tea in there, it doesn't seem candy-like or novelty. It just seems like a really rich, delicious, comforting fragrance. And I really could not love it more. Again, I burned it for hours and hours, didn't get sick of it. Really healthy strength, throw, and projection for a 4-inch diameter, 3.5-inch diameter, 8.5 ounce soy candle, wood wick, in my large concept great room and kitchen. Really healthy throw, was very pleased with that. So that is my, I suppose, half in-depth sniff, not quite comparison, first impressions haul and overview of these 5 Emme NYC fragrances. I would highly recommend checking these out. They have a website with all of their different fragrances. I have found none that I dislike. I would say the ones that sound more unique are the most unique. So for me, just getting a simple grapefruit or pomelo, less exciting because that's just a grapefruit, though good quality. But everything else I smell that is unique to them is so spot on unique that I could easily see it becoming one of my go-to fragrance brands, especially as they're just kind of leveling up their game. So highly recommend you check them out. And if you do, please let me know what you purchased. And until next time, take care.